Welcome back to 412. I'm Jonathan with Wolk 360. We had a great show with the AIA Triangle Tour. We had 385 people tour the house on that day, and it was fantastic. It was great to hear all the things that people were asking about. They loved the house. One of the things that came up with that tour was all the great questions that people had for Angie, the homeowner, and her interior design prowess and integrating her furnishings and stuff that they've had from China and family collections and how that all really integrated into the plan. And from the beginning, we really worked to integrate everything, like the dining room, the bar from China. And I really wanted to walk through the house and have Angie explain that integration, because I think she's put so much thought and care into it. And then how it really integrated into the plan was pretty great. And the people that toured the house really enjoyed hearing that. So we're gonna take a walk through with Angie.
I lived in a neighborhood that had lots of gas lanterns, and I just thought they were the coolest thing. The warmth and the vibe they give off just is kind of magical, I think. So we actually got to tour the facility that makes these down in New Orleans, and chose a more modern design. You know, they have lots of historical designs, but I wanted a more streamlined look to go with our house. We lived in Shanghai, China for 4 years, and there was a place that we called the Dirty Warehouse. And it literally was a dirty warehouse where this elderly Chinese gentleman would gather things, probably 2,000 chairs, all kinds of things. And it was always a treasure hunt to dig through there and find things. And this was one that I just kind of fell in love with, and we bartered and went back and forth. And he would always say, he would give me a high price and I would say, Taikuela, too expensive. And he would say, no, it's old. This is, I thought it was called a summer table, but I've recently learned more about it. It's called a harvest table. And they're traditionally very long and thin. This particular one, the legs will come out, so it folds flat, and then you can put it up into the barn after the harvest. But you can see this one is very loved and worn. I can picture a lot of meals and harvest being brought out to this table. The furniture pieces here on the floor and the rug all came from our previous home. And we knew we wanted to keep these items and then tie them into a more modern, streamlined look. We were in a more traditional home before, which is why we brought in the white walls and the dark of the tile, so that the furniture and the furnishings, the Asian pieces they would pop from that, as opposed to a more traditional wall coloring. One of the things I really like about the tile on the fireplace is that it picks up the grays, the darker colors in the floor, and mimics those. So you have the juxtaposition of the light and the warmth, and then the tiles on the fireplace. And I love the really large 2x4 tiles with the the modeling in the tile itself. It just gives it that movement, so it's not so flat. And I think that leads to a lot of interest and why people wanted to touch it and see if it was metal or if it was concrete, what it was. The mantle, that was handmade out of oak, an old barn piece that was restored. The terracotta warrior, that came from Xi'an, China, and this was a big part of our design. We knew we wanted a niche for him, and we wanted a spotlight on him, so that light stays on 24/7. We really did want to maximize the space for the island, and we wanted it to be the focal point of the kitchen. So we fell in love with this quartzite Taj Mahal and wanted the thicker mitered edges to make it look heftier and give this more weight, to bring more attention to it. And then it's set off with the gold faucet. We carried the browns here through with the bar stools, the floor, and then the trim on the hood. I really wanted floor to ceiling cabinetry and molding at the top so that there was no catch-all up there that needed to be cleaned. And I think it just gives a really streamlined, clean look to the house. So we brought the black cabinetry into here to tie in with the island, and it brings out the darker colors in the floor. We did like the Asian wallpaper. We thought that would really set off the bar, which is the piece that's in the center, and we built that cabinetry around that piece. We even had to go into our storage and have it pulled out and remeasured so that we knew we had the exact measurements. We also had this painting of Shanghai done for us 1 year for our anniversary after we moved back to the United States. And we knew that we wanted it to hang in our dining room. The original plan had our windows, they were larger or closer together, and they had to be adjusted to allow for the space for the painting and its dedicated light above it. Yeah, so there's definitely some stories. Most all of our pieces have stories behind them. This rug was, again, a gift from my mother-in-law, and I think that the blues and the oranges really set off what we have going with the walls. A lot of people mentioned that the room was dark, but it also felt very cozy and had a good amount of light. If you can be dark and light at the same time, it is, I think, very cozy. The church pew was bought on a wine tasting tour with a bunch of girlfriends. In Virginia. Yeah.
The wine did its job.
It did. It's one of my favorite areas of the house. You know, everyone asks as we try it, as they came through, what is your favorite? And that's really difficult to say when you've built your custom home and when you're so involved in choosing every piece of that custom home to choose a favorite, because I obviously I'm very fond of most of the items in here, but this really is like the pièce de résistance. I love it. I love our location. I love our home. It does all the things we want it to do.